G'day gang, hope you're all well. So this is the latest on what's been happening. Most of you will remember I did a video 2 to 3 weeks ago now where the NBN man just showed up at my house saying that my internet was causing errors for everyone else's internet and wanted to go through the ceiling and find some loose splitter or whatever it was. He said to me that he was going to and they'd end up cutting me off if he couldn't get in to fix the fault. In the end, I let him just come into the house and look at the router, and he stuck his hand under to where the coaxial cable goes from the NBN box into the wall socket, said he had a loose connection, said that'd be it fixed, and walked out. He literally, I remember thinking, that's not even long enough to tighten a cable. He's just put his hand under there quick as for a split second. And so anyway, since then the NBN's been working an hour or two a day at best. It's just been extremely intermittent. And I'm, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, thinking, it's just a fault with the NBN box or something like that. So anyway, today it just wouldn't work all day and I was getting frustrated. I unplugged everything, all the cables, everything numerous times, reset it up. In the end, I unplugged the coaxial cable that goes into the wall socket, and I noticed the pin in the middle of it was completely bent to the point where it was touching the outside ring on the where you screw it on. It was like, probably 30-degree angle, just bent straight across as far as it could go. And we've got a table in front of it and that the kids can't really get to it. I thought that's a bit strange. So it took me a while to try and get it straightened right out, plugged it back in, still wouldn't work. So I ended up ringing up iiNet, who's my carrier. I said, the internet's not working, haven't been able to get it going all day. The green lights on the NBN box won't all light up. And he said, is it just happened today? And I said to him, well, no, it's been intermittent for about 2 or 3 weeks since the NBN guy came out and supposedly fixed it when it was fine beforehand. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just look up the job then, because apparently all NBN jobs, they have to book in their time or whatever, they have to put in a report saying what they did. He couldn't find it. At this point I started to get a little sus, because I thought, well, why can't, and he was getting sus too, because he was like, I don't know why I can't find it. And then he asked me what he did, and I said, well, look, he just came, knocked on the door and said that there was a problem, said he was going to have to go in my ceiling, said if he didn't get in to fix it, they'd eventually cut me off. And he was flabbergasted, the bloke from iiNet. He reckons, no, that he goes, first off, the NBN will never come to your door at all. He said, if you've got a fault, they'll look up your carrier, they'll call us, and we'll contact you and arrange a time for them to come. He said, we do it, every day. Never will the NBN just show up at your door. And I was like, well, and he almost said it like he didn't believe me. And I was like, well, mate, that's what happened. I said, he's come here. I said to him, I got a bad vibe off him right from the get-go, because within 15 seconds of talking to him at the front door, he said he has to go in the ceiling. And then as soon as I got sus on him, he started acting real nervous and tripping over his words and, seemed really keen to try and convince me that he was from the NBN. And so he's just spinning out, the guy from iiNet. He's going, none of that makes sense at all, And he was like, did you get his name? And I said, well, no, I didn't at the time. I was sus, but I was, he was in the NBN van that had NBN on it, And he had his, his tech gear plugged into the hole out the front with his little thing on it. He looked pretty legit. And so he was staggered. He couldn't, he literally, I was on the phone to him, talking to him for about half an hour. And he just couldn't get his head around it at all. So I don't know who this bloke was, but he hasn't booked in the job, even if he is from the NBN. He hasn't booked in the job at all. He hasn't said what he's done, even though he told me, he showed me some melted things and showed me that he said he'd replaced everything in the underground box. And so I've just been persistent with it for the last couple of weeks, because I knew we were going hardwired soon, and I figured that hopefully I was going to fuck off the Wi-Fi router and get a router that's has no Wi-Fi component to it. So I just bared with it for the last couple of weeks. But now that I've spoke to him, and the funniest thing was, right, and I swear this is what he said, after I explained it to him, he said to me, his words, that's very suspicious. That's what he said to me. And I said to him, well, I'm glad you're the one saying that, mate, because I'm thinking the exact same thing. So he ended up saying to me, look, he's booked me in a tech to come out, an NBN tech. So let's see what happens. I'm guessing it's not going to be the same guy. But he's booked me one in. He said he'll contact me tomorrow and let me know the time. And the guy will be here within 48 hours. But he said that he's going to personally follow this one up and keep an eye on it himself, because he's actually curious to know what the tech's going to find out and what's going on, and he's going to look into it further, trying to figure out who was here. Because when I said to him, the guy told me that the feedback or the noise coming back down through the line from my connection that was going into the amplifiers, he called them, he said that it was amplifying that bad that it was stopping 481 other people from having internet. And he was like, what? He reckons, no, I've never even heard of that. He reckons, never heard of such a thing. You know, the fact that it was... And the guy who came here today said that he'd been trying to follow this sound back through the line for the last week or two, right? So you would think that there'd be some note in the NBN. Every job has to be booked in and has to have a report put on it. You know, a job that big that's stopping 481 other people from having their internet is something that would get booked in. And he was especially surprised when I told him that the guy said that eventually they would cut me off if he couldn't come in and fix the fault. And he goes, no, they should never threaten to cut you off. So the whole thing was weird. That's all I'm going to say. But I'll just leave it at that. You know, tell me your thoughts. But, you know... I was weirded out from the start, even more so when I spoke to him, and then when he used the words, that's very suspicious. I was like, oh, here we go. So, I don't know, stage 1 gang stalking, me being, you know, a bit over the top on the worrying, who knows, but I'm going to fuck that way, modem off, and I've got to try and stop swearing until I get this kid filter thing figured out. They keep hitting me up with, I don't know what to do, how to change it, but that's why I'm putting these warnings on my videos saying not suitable for children until I figure it out. But yeah, leave me your thoughts. That's it, blow for blow as it's happened, word for word, no exaggeration whatsoever. So let me know. Take it easy, gang.